I felt like I was living inside of a design book, inside of a history book, and you can't just transplant that and you can't grow it somewhere else. It takes a depth of history, and feeling that depth of history was very important for me.
It's a monastery in disguise because it's a place that you can go and really focus without distraction. And that's different from Los Angeles and New York.
A famous graphic designer, Massimo Vignelli, is kind of a classic modernist designer, labeled Cranbrook the most dangerous design school in the world because it was challenging everything. You're there to challenge the orthodoxy, you're there to challenge mainstream practice, and so everyone had that ethos that we didn't really care because we're young. So we're just going to change the design world, and that was going to be simple. So.
I had an informal conversation with Zach Ostrowski, who graduated before I got there, and he told me, if you come to Cranbrook, you will grow probably 7 years in these 2 years that you're here. So it would be an equivalent of 7 years just not going to Cranbrook. And I was like, how do you even evaluate that or measure that? And I can say after leaving Cranbrook, I saw that growth, and I felt like it was a very real thing.
Every step of my success can be in one way or another traced back to a peer or colleague from Cranbrook. I have an incredible support network of friends who are way smarter than me and help me figure this stuff out all the time. Don't use the word loosely, but I really met a couple geniuses in that program who were just so smart and so hardworking and set the bar so high it seemed impossible to catch up to them.
Because there aren't classes, there isn't necessarily a set path. Students really have to take responsibility for their vision and for their learning. They need to learn what they don't know and then figure out, like, how are you gonna learn that and find the means to do it. No one's necessarily holding your hand to do that.
Having it be self-driven rather than somebody driving you is an excellent prep for being a business owner, for being an independent artist, for being an entrepreneur, because you have to drive yourself.
When I go to Europe, they revere Cranbrook. They revere Sarnen, Eames, Batoya. These guys are gods to the Europeans. And I think that there's a real understanding in the world that Cranbrook provides this, I guess, magical process that leads to work that is refreshing and inspiring.
The scholarship program is vitally important today, not only because of issues of student debt, which is much higher, but also because you need to attract the best students you can.
So when the acceptance letter came, I remember taking it upstairs into my apartment, and it was quite a moment. I set it on the table, and then I walked around it, and I was a bit afraid of it, and then I opened it. And it was really kind of a launching pad of a new journey when I saw that I was accepted.
All of the cultural assets we enjoy today, whether it's watching film, listening to music, sitting in chairs, a particular chair, walking through a building, are all because we have great artists and designers working in the world. It's important for you to contribute to the scholarship fund because we want to attract the best students to Cranbrook. All 10 departments are looking for a racehorse to lead their department every year. A scholarship fund to a student who may not be able to afford to come to Cranbrook is vitally important.
To the ground, say, let it burn. Let it burn.
If you're not making an impact at Cranbrook, then you're probably not going to make an impact somewhere else. So it's all this. There's this drive at Cranbrook to get noticed, to make an impact, to shift people's thinking, to impress people. And I feel like that's an incubator for those things to do, or a little lab for people to try those things out.
I would say from Charles and Ray Eames to even Nick Cave, who just graduated in the late 80s, Cranbrook has helped some of the most important thinkers, artists, and designers of our time.
Nobody can argue that Cranbrook and the people that worked here impacted design in the mid-century in a way that it's an indelible thumbprint. For me, the question is, how do we do it today? And that pressure of that history is good for you. Pressure's good for you. Like, come on, what are you gonna do?